All right, what is going on, you guys? So in this video, I want to lay out all the information that you guys will truly need to improve. There are a lot of VGC resources out there, so it can be very overwhelming, but I am going to be hunkering down on the info that you need to improve, the only things, in my opinion, that you need to improve, and only be talking about that and that alone. First of all, of course, Pokemon Showdown is just the main tool, right? If you are not on Showdown and you are wanting to get into VGC, or you are getting into VGC, you need to be on Showdown. Right now, ladder is pretty dead because we are going into Worlds very soon here. So ladder is pretty dead, right? But I mean, you can still get games. It just takes a little bit longer, but Showdown, important. This is the baseline tool. In my opinion, everything wraps around Pokemon Showdown when you are practicing. This is the tool that you use to get your main form of practice, right? You don't even necessarily have to play ladder. You can hit up people you know, friends, right? Run sets, run mocks, right? Gather all the top meta teams and then just run mocks and sets with friends, right? I say mocks, but mainly just practice sets with friends, right? This is one of your main pieces that you should be using if you're not already. So I don't want to say too much more. It should be a given, right? You have options. You can play best of 3 ladder, which I fully recommend. And yeah. So the next thing that I want to dive into is Limitless. So what is Limitless? This is the, COVID rising online website that you can use to play in tournaments. Free to play tournaments for the most part. And a lot of these free to play tournaments actually have cash prize and money prizes, right? Some they're not going to be like a ton of money, the smaller ones, but a lot of them will have money incentives, right? So yeah, and what makes Limitless so amazing is that you can view everything on here. So for one, just to be clear, if you are on Limitless for the first time, make sure you check mark only what you want to see, so that the rest of the tours do not show up every time you log in or every time you go on the website. That is the first thing. When you first go into Limitless, obviously making an account is very simple. It literally takes like 3 to 5 minutes of your time, and then obviously filter out the tournaments that you want to see. So if you're just here for VGC, only check VGC. These are VGC tournaments, and some will be bigger, some will be smaller, right? It just depends on, some tours are more established than others, and there's a lot of very good players that play in these consistently, right? A lot of top players. You get really, really good consistent practice playing in the bigger, somewhat of the bigger tournaments, right? Citrus Series, a tour that's been around since beginning of Scarlet and Violet, maybe even before. Alpensea is an amazing, one of the main Showdown tournaments where you are able to play on Showdown instead of Kart. So, rounds go by faster, right? And you can get a lot of really good practice. And this is an EU-based tournament where you can expect to play like a lot of really good, great players. So these are just a few examples, but what makes Limitless so amazing is you get a ton of valuable information just off of one tournament. Let's use Citrus Series for an example, right? Not only can you see the standings of the top teams and the records of every player, but you can also obviously go to the metagame, see, the top Pokemon in the metagame, the percentage of their usage, right? You can click on a Pokemon and it'll tell you every player that had it on their team. You can then click on the open team sheet, view their team. This is an amazing resource to get just valuable information about what people are using in the metagame, what is currently going on in the metagame, how is the meta shifting. This is, in my opinion, probably like a tool I wish existed back when I first started playing VGC. Pre-COVID and VGC, the online tournament scene was truly non-existent like it is now. Because back then, right, like before COVID, IRL tournaments were a lot more different, and there weren't a lot of people just hosting these online tournaments. This website really did not take off until COVID, like towards the end of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it's just an amazing resource, and I honestly think if you're not on Limitless, making an account, playing in best of 3 tournaments, then you're not getting the true practice that you should. So how do Limitless tours work, right? If you are deciding to sign up for a tour, it's very simple. You will just, if it's on Pokemon, or if it's on Nintendo Switch, you'll just put your IGN. It'll typically ask for your IGN, and then it'll typically ask for, your social medias if you have them. Sometimes some don't. And then your team sheet, right? You need to obviously submit your open team sheet into, so that, but when the tournament starts, you will be ready. And then you obviously need to check in. Typically check-in opens within 1 to 2 hours before a tournament starts, usually 1 hour. So it gives you a good amount of time to check in and be ready for when the tournament starts. So a perfect example would be, we'll just take this tour. So in this tour, I just decided to play for some practice, right? If you go to standings here and click, you can see your current standings, right? Every round there will be a new player to play, and you just play them, right? It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. And then your goal is to obviously win. You can see the top cut bracket, and that's just how tournaments work in VGC, right? It's very, very simple. And in all honesty, like, if you're really trying to improve as a player, you have goals, aspiring goals to go to events and perform well, your best ways of practicing are best of 3 Showdown, and especially playing in tournaments. Now, I definitely recommend trying to play in the bigger tournaments, because you're going to most likely get practice into better players. You're most likely to play better players and play more rounds, right? And play more of a tournament style, a true tournament style. But it's just random, right? Some days there's a specific tour that will be bigger than others. It's just each day of the week and the weekend, there are typically different tournaments that are being hosted. So the next resource I think is just like very, very important, especially for beginners and people getting into the game, is Munchstats. So Munchstats pretty much provides you every little piece of info on every Pokemon in the metagame that you could possibly need. And I think that this is important because if you're trying to build a team, or you're trying to recreate a team, the website gives you the perfect information regarding this. So what you'll do is you'll go on to the format list. You can click regulation MB, and here it'll just immediately take you to the metagame, right? You can see the top usage all the way to like the bottom usage of Pokemon. You can click on a Pokemon. It'll then give you the most common items, the most common ability, common stat sets, right? Stats are, EVs are things people always want, right? A lot of times a lot of these EVs are actually gate kept, but because a team performed very high and very well with a certain Pokemon, those EVs actually eventually get placed into this website. So believe it or not, a lot of these EV spreads are just perfect, and they work perfectly well. So yeah, I mean, like, this website is just amazing, and it gives you all the info you need. It also provides top teams that performed well in past tournaments, right? That from top players and stuff. So it's just a very amazing resource. And in all honesty, like, I highly recommend, trying it out, right? I'm pretty sure even my team might be on here, right? From quite a while ago. It might take me a minute to find it, but one of my top performing Mega Meganium teams is on here somehow. And I didn't even really know until, a few weeks after the tournament. But right, like, you just get so much valuable information, and you can immediately apply this into Showdown. So copy your export, import, and there you go. You already have a perfectly common Garchomp set right on Showdown. That is as simple as it is, right? And what makes it so cool is that every single thing that you click will immediately apply in the export. So if you want to click Choice Scarf, it'll switch to Choice Scarf, right? If you want to go to Sandvale for some reason, which you shouldn't, but just in case, Sandvale, right? So this is a perfectly valuable resource and very beginner friendly. It might take some time getting used to the interface of the website, but in all honesty, I think it shouldn't really take that long. Next is Pokemon damage calculator. So a lot of top players just know how to calc super, super fast, right? Like, what you can do is you can import your sets on the website here. So I'll give you guys a quick example. Let's say I'm going to play in a tournament very soon with Zard Venusaur, right? And I want to be able to make quick calculations while I'm playing, or even before the tournament. What I can do, copy paste the entire team, the export, make sure it's the export and not the pokey paste, import to left team, boom. Everything will then immediately show up. And then instead of actually typing in the Pokemon manually, right, and then tweaking the EVs yourself, you can just click on the Pokemon and it'll immediately pop up with your set. So a lot of people actually didn't know that you could do this. Like, this is actually something I didn't know you could do until like a year and a half ago. I completely didn't know that you could have the entire team pulled up, and this is coming from someone who's played VGC, since the beginning of Gen 7. So you could, this tool is available, has been available, right? So it's very valuable. Now, getting used to doing quick calcs definitely comes with time. Even with this pulled up, it's not going to make it's not going to make you immediately able to do calcs super fast. But once you get more affiliated with these common websites, and especially doing damage calculations, like, this is a very valuable resource. And in all honesty, being able to know your calcs on certain sets is just a beginning step into becoming a better player. Knowing important calcs is how you improve at the game, right? Knowing when to actually go for a KO, this is all very valuable information, right? Or a very valuable website. So the next website that is extremely valuable is Victory Road. Now, Victory Road is, in my opinion, the biggest grassroots tournament organizer for online tournaments, and there's actually a tournament this weekend that is going to take place. So by the time this video comes out, that tournament might be over. I'm not entirely sure. I will be competing in that tournament this weekend, so I'm actually pretty excited, and hopefully I can do pretty well. But yes, so they often host these Victory Road tournaments. Now, they are typically money entry, so they're typically like $12 on PayPal, and you can enter the tournaments, and you are guaranteed to play some of the best players in the world, like every tour, because these are the most popular online tournaments. Now, what makes Victory Road in itself, like this website, so valuable is the fact that you're given information about everything VGC wise, right? It's pre-registrations to tournaments, past results from a tournament, right? So this is the most recent Victory Road tournament that Michaelderbeste won, and you're able to literally just look at all the top teams, right? It obviously at the top shows the top cut, and then you're able to look at the phase 2. What makes Victory Road also really interesting is that you're able to see the general usage from day 1 to day 2. And that's another very valuable resource, because this website is featuring some of the most top players in the world. Like, Michael Kalsum is one of the best players in the modern era. Like, in my opinion, he is like in the top 3 best players. He's just so strong of a player. Or you have Yosuke Takiyanagi, right, who is a top Japanese player. You have Takumi Sakurai, who's another very strong Japanese player. Alex Underhill, a strong US player. Joji Kaeda, who is one of the most top ladder players and top IRL players, right? Just such a strong Japanese player, right? These are the best players in the world who are consistently playing in these tournaments, and you're getting valuable information of their mindset in the game just by looking at the team that they decide to use. So I highly recommend using all of these resources to your advantage, right? And to make this sound less overwhelming, these are all the websites I personally use, right? I don't really use much else. There's all these new websites coming out that might be valuable, but I think, in my opinion, you don't need to overwhelm yourself with all these different websites. You can just use the very simple ones and be perfectly fine with that. The last thing I want to recommend is Michaelderbeste himself. I think Michael actually puts out amazing content, and I personally watch all his videos, even as a top player. I don't consider myself a top player, but even as a very strong player myself, I feel like Michael is literally one of the best in the world, and he is constantly providing amazing content for people who are looking to use a team, looking to learn more about why these picks are on a team, right? He is providing all of the information for free. He's putting it out there, and a lot of this is very valuable, right? It's coming from the mindset of a top player. So in my opinion, I think even though sometimes players can be, or certain information can be put to the side, I think Michael has always been consistently putting out amazing info. And I personally like to just, even though I might already know some things that he's talking about, I still personally always like to read what he's saying, because you can always improve. In VGC, every single player, no matter how good you are, can always find a way to improve, always find a way to capitalize off of another player, or finding a way to find that small part of your play style that can always improve, right? So I just think that this is super valuable, and every player should be, listening to Michael and other players that are his caliber. So this is, in my opinion, what I personally use. Now, I wouldn't say I personally use Michael like, on a daily basis, but I like as my website tools. But I would say like these regarding websites are things I use on a consistent basis to improve as a player. Limitless is something that I, notoriously am known for being, just over the years playing in a ton of Limitless tours. Now, I haven't been playing in them like I used to, but the dividends of how you just can improve as a player constantly playing in best of 3 tournaments is insane. These are the resources I wanted to go over in this video. I wanted to keep the video pretty brief, but I think this information is super valuable, and in my opinion, like are the top websites and tools that you should be using as a player to improve. Hopefully you guys find this video informational and helpful. I have a video coming out very soon where I ran best of 3, where I just ran a ton of best of 3 games on Showdown, right? Ladder is very dead right now, so I'm currently actually pretty high up on ladder with a somewhat okay rating, right? I have a pretty high GXE, right? So my win-loss is pretty decent, but my rating is just okay. But because ladder is so dead, a lot of these games are typically higher level, right? So I did record a bunch of games, and that will be in a future video. So hope you guys found this video helpful, as I said a few times now, and comment down below if there's other resources that you find have been helping you out, or if you how this video helps you out. I love to hear the comments. I love to respond. I love to answer any questions. So feel free to comment down below what you guys think. So hope you guys enjoy.